Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to Talk Recovery Radio. You're watching us live here on Facebook. My name is Giuseppe Ganchi, and I'm here with my co-host.
Darren Gaylor. You just glitched out on me. You there? There you are.
I'm here. But there we go. We're on Facebook Live. Something happened. A little glitch between Zoom and Facebook. I'll call Mark and whoever owns Zoom later and say, "Hey, what's going on with your system, bro?" You're listening to us live here on Talk Recovery Radio, and if you're on the radio, you're listening to last week's show. And if you're on Facebook, we're live, and that always happens every Thursday. Darren, how you been?
It's been weird.
Second wave of COVID.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. It's difficult. It's been difficult. I don't know if it's just the onslaught of the news and I'm probably on social media a little bit more lately as a result too. And I try my best to avoid any opinions. I mean, I want to be an advocate, but I try to stay out there. It's funny that the few times that I've actually gotten involved in an argument, it was to like defend you or, someone I care about and, things like that. But I gotta say, it's depressing. The news, especially with, the Mayor Kennedy's new topic, which we're going to discuss, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. The old idea, the mayor of Vancouver just launched yesterday a new document that will make Vancouver the first city to decriminalize drugs in the city limits. And for those of you who know, we've been working on a little movie called Crisis about decriminalization. And it's really disheartening with all the information that Patricia Daly has, Bonnie Henry has, BCCSU has about the Portuguese model. In all of the mayor's statements, they don't even mention anything about the full Portuguese model, and it's just unfortunate. I'm for decrim. I'm not against it, but the idea to just decriminalize drugs and not have a plan, and I'm not just talking a stupid phone number, but an actual plan that helps people get into recovery oriented systems of care. Even Dr. Golau, the founder of the Portuguese model, said the decriminalization did not end stigma and like at all. I've been to Portugal. You can't use drugs in Portugal, but without a system of dissuasion. And Kennedy's not even mentioning the word. BCCSU is on record not mentioning the word. It's going to be a flop. Like you can't, like people are already smoking crack on the street. So
I think that's the frustrating thing about it for me is watching the news like it's this big, attempt at some sort of solution to the overdose crisis, and that means there are thousands, perhaps millions of people that actually think this is the change we need. This is something. And I think I shared about this a few weeks ago on the show that I mean, it has been like this for quite some time. Like it hasn't been since the 80s where people are getting, 7 to 10 years for possession of 3 grams of marijuana. Like that show's been over. Personally, I was caught a bunch of times with illicit drugs on me. And, it was just the prerogative of the officers at the time. Like maybe just knowing this kid's messed up, like, or just too much paperwork, too much money to arrest me in my situation for not having done a crime other than having illicit drugs in my pocket. So yeah, I totally think decrim is necessary because it would have ruined my life to a whole other extent had I, am still dealing with a record or something like that. Like I got lucky because I could have been arrested.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is this hasn't been a thing for quite some time where people are getting arrested for a couple of crack rocks in their pocket. Like
So this is how like big deal of this really is. So Mary Claire Zare is in charge of policy in the city of Vancouver. Mayors get reelected every so often, but she's been there forever. And she did a panel a while ago that I filmed where she was the expert on the Portuguese model and all these panels and stakeholder groups, and she's behind it all, and she's the one that's pushing the strings for the mayor. I asked her, I'm like, you can't do drugs in Portugal, like you get a ticket. And she's like, well, why would they do that? It's decriminalized. And I'm like, you're making decisions for an entire city and you don't even know, like what is the Portuguese model. Portuguese model is all about dissuasion. You start using drugs as a young age, you get tickets, you got to do community service. Like it's not okay to do drugs in Portugal. And so Mayor Kennedy Stewart, or whatever your name is, because you're not listening, do not decriminalize drugs without a plan to have drug reduction take place. Europe does drug reduction. Decriminalization is part of it. You are going to destroy the city further. And I have no quarrels in saying that because they know what the Commission of Drug Dissuasion does. So to all our viewers, listeners, and followers, they are not doing the right thing by decriminalizing drugs in Vancouver. It will not remove stigma. It will not, like it hasn't in Europe. It will not. And without a system to carry people into recovery-oriented systems of care, more people will die. So period on that. I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of that post yesterday.
Yeah, me too. And it brought up some ideas of like, okay, if this isn't the fix, I was charged once for like theft at a grocery store. I had money in my pocket. I was probably just looking for a thrill. It's embarrassing to even think about, but I was, given volunteer hours. I had to go, I had to do some other things. And yet I was also caught with illicit drugs like 4 or 5 times and never given anything, right? And I just think that, if the officers, don't want to waste their time, but let's just think that that's a good thing, the money and the time for zero result. But what if they had a clue or they had a level of compassion that said, like this kid probably needs some help. So rather than arrest him and charge him, like, why don't we have him come in and sit down with someone that knows the field in the healthcare system, a counselor, and talk about some of his choices.
Exactly. And it's irresponsible of the mayor of Vancouver to even bring up the idea of decriminalization without that plan. Irresponsible. I can't even believe Patricia Daly and all these people are like gloating about this stupid idea with no plans of creating a provincial strategy to help people into recovery. So it's just call them up and say, hey, where's the Commission of Drug Dissuasion in Vancouver? Because that's actually how Portugal got rid of their overdose crisis. So, hey, we got lots of people in the waiting room, Darren, and we've got some wonderful, I'm going to do some admitting here. Talk Recovery Radio comes to you live every Thursday. And hey, we don't BS about what's going on in BC. We tell it like it is. If you like what we're saying, awesome. If you don't, we don't care. We're just telling you the way it is. And, you can replay our shows everywhere. We'll tell you about that at the end of the show. Look at all these amazing people on Talk Recovery Radio going on today.
Oh.
Awesome. You know what? We did forget something, and we have to do it for the radio. We're on Vancouver Co-op Radio, CFRO 100.5 FM. Forgot to do that at the beginning of the show. And special thanks to the people that helped raise $40,000 for our annual fundraising campaign. So big shout out to all the viewers and listeners. So that's awesome. Darren, who are we talking recovery with today?
So many.
Yes.
So many lovely ladies. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Talk Recovery. What do we have? We have Brooke, and I'm just going in order that I see you. Hi, Brooke. Hey, we have Alexis. Hello, wave Alexis, say hello. We have Linda, Lisa, Kimberlea. Hi guys, welcome to the show.
Lara. It's Lara, not Lisa.
But well done.
Well done. That's Lara.
That's how little control I need now. I wasn't even going to correct you.
Call me anything.
Right at this point, we're good.
So we got you guys all on here. There's this amazing thing you guys have come up with, Recovery Kidz. Let's start with Alexis. Tell us how you got this started. Where did it come from? And what is it?
I'm so overwhelmed and proud of what it's become. I started in 2013, really just by phoning a local treatment center and the last door and asking them if I could help donate some toys to some dads. There's a gap in the system when it comes to resources for people that are in treatment, for parents that are in treatment. So what I found is places that are amazing, like the Christmas Bureau and the Salvation Army, and all these places are amazing and they help out with families during the holiday season. But because the parents are in an inpatient treatment facility and don't have their children in their immediate care, they don't qualify for those subsidies or community programs. So in 2013, I dropped off like 10 toys and that was great. And then in 2014, we got a little bigger and we added another treatment center. And then Linda came on in 2018, and we started with the Union Gospel Mission and the Sanctuary, which is a program that houses 15 women who are new moms with their babies for 6 months of their life, up to 0 to 6 months. So it allows the moms to be with the babies in treatment. And then we, last year, we helped 70 kids through 5 different treatment centers. So Last Door, Together We Can, Westminster House, Chalford, and the Sanctuary at the Union Gospel Mission. And honestly, and it was me and Linda. Right. And then this year, I know some powerhouse A-type women in recovery that get stuff done. So I reached out to Kimberlea Masters and her Recovered line. We reached out to Brooke Robichard and her Seek Purpose podcast. We reached out to Lara Bolton, who is like a marketing genius. We reached out to Karen Blackwell and Nicole. And so we've now got this board and it sort of just is amazing. We have drop-off locations. So we've got an Amazon wish list. We've got a website. It's like turned into a thing. We're registering as a charity or nonprofit. We're not sure right now. We're in the process of that. And I am just really proud of what it's become. And this year we are including it. We're sticking with those 5 centers right now. But we're including the extended programs this year. And we are including grandmothers who want to, give their grandbabies a present at Christmas time. So yeah, I'm just really excited about it.
It's amazing. I mean, we could all imagine how much this is needed, how much it's always been needed. And it's a sad fact that it, over such a short period of time, it's been needed more and more and more. But good for you guys to do this. And I can only assume that there wasn't sort of this, marketing strategy, personal benefit, like that this was just coming straight from the heart, in a sense of service, in a sense of giving back. Linda, can you tell us like a little bit about like what it means for you to be a part of this?
Yeah, absolutely. I can share it from a personal story experience first. I remember the last Christmas before I got clean, which was almost 25 years ago, 24 years and a half. But I remember it was Christmas Eve, and I had to go to a gas station to buy a gift for my kids. It was my last priority, even though the shame and the guilt of not having something for them was huge. And so when I remember the pain of that, I brought that into my first year of recovery, and the first Christmas in recovery. It was, I was in treatment and I was learning a new way of life, and I still was carrying the shame and the guilt from that, the Christmases that I wasn't there to the Christmas that I was in. And so the first Christmas in recovery, we didn't have a lot of money. We were getting comfort allowance from, the government, and some people had very little. And so we made gifts and we had little things that we could give. And it still had a sense of feeling that it wasn't enough, because of all the harm that we caused and as moms, and it just elicited more shame. And so as I, am in recovery over the years, like I've really wanted to, think about moms at Christmas time, and, think of ways to help them through that and ease the pain a little bit and help them, show the love in not just a gift, but just in, like showing them something different, that they're in recovery, they're present, they're available, and they're able to express the love that they have. And so I've been doing this, I partnered up with Alexis and we called it Recovery Kidz. And I'm so grateful that, like a part of my recovery is to give back. And, I don't think I would stay in recovery if that wasn't a component of my recovery. And, and I find lots of different ways. And this one really stood out. And Alexis was really ambitious and, wanted to, help everybody. And so we've started out kind of small, but then we're, like this year, to have all these strong women, it's amazing. And they bring so much strength and skill to what we need to do. And we're not going to forget the vision and the mission of Recovery Kidz, that it's going to be about that gift, that relief of pain for the parent in any way that we can. So it's awesome. Yeah.
That's amazing. I don't know who can answer this. Is it confined into those centers only? I'm just imagining some women perhaps listening to the show, that they're not in any place that could use some help, that are going to have a difficult time reaching out. Is there a way for anyone outside of those centers named that can get involved and appreciate this for themselves as well?
I think I can speak to that. I think right now our focus really is because of the gap in services for people that are in patient treatment. But we can certainly add a resources page. I think that's a great idea, Darren, to our website, which is recoverykidz.com. And we can add, I will get that done. Kimberlea, can you make a note of that? That we will get
something up for you guys. Sorry.
Yeah, thanks, Darren.
More work. This is for Kimberlea, Laura, Brooke. So there's lots of men and women, deciding today whether or not to go to treatment. Our phones are ringing, wait lists galore and all that. Something happens though in the month of December. Can I wait till after Christmas? Because everybody becomes Christian or Catholic in December, like as if the heroin just goes aside or something. And what do you say to people that, in maybe your own experiences through Christmas, like not being at home for Christmas becomes a big deal when you want it to be. So how did, I don't know how many Christmases you all three have gone through in recovery, but do you have any advice for anyone that's listening, or any moms out there, so they can give some advice to their kids?
I can speak to that. This will be my 14th Christmas clean.
And what I will tell you is that I can still relate to what Linda was describing, which is that guilt and shame and remorse of being a parent that's loaded and either A, not going to be able to provide for her children, and simply because I'm that self-centered when I use drugs and alcohol, but also making a mess of it, like a complete mess of it over and over and over again. Because when I start using, I can't stop, regardless of the fact that the turkey should have been in, or the kids should have had presents, or maybe mom should have been tried to be clean until noon, or, you know, like all those things are off the table for me. And I can still remember that that is me loaded. And the benefit of getting clean prior to a holiday like this is that I don't have to wake up with that shame and guilt anymore. I get the freedom that comes with being clean and making my kids a priority. And it doesn't mean I might be able to be with them on Christmas morning, but what a gift, because what we don't see is happening to our kids is the stuff they're not talking about. Absolutely everything I just described is obvious. I wrecked Christmas. I made a fool of myself. I embarrassed them. I didn't give them Christmas gifts. That's all really obvious. But what we don't notice as parents is our kids are holding their breath because they're not sure what's going to happen. They're filled with anxiety, and their response or reaction to that anxiety is messing up at school, you know, bullying kids, feeling like they don't fit in, you know, walking on eggshells. And I'll tell you, when I became a mom that was clean in recovery, I watched my kids' shoulders come off their ears. Right? I watched them take a breath, and they weren't sure if it was going to last. I'm not going to lie. Like it wasn't like an overnight fix my first Christmas, but I will tell you, just waking up and being able to wander into their bedrooms, clean, and I wasn't looking for money, and wake them up and tell them it's Christmas, and knowing that they were going to have a meal, it's a miracle you can't describe. I'm going to get emotional because, like, you know, what we're doing and what Alexis and Linda have paved the way to do is amazing. But being clean, these are the memories we create with our kids, and holidays are significant. Tuesday after Christmas, not everybody may remember that day, even though it might be significant if you get clean on that day. But our first Christmas when mom was clean, they're going to remember that stuff. So it's such a blessing. And for me, the decision is today, and it wasn't easy, but like now's better than later. Trust me, people are dying from this disease.
Yeah, please don't wait. Don't wait to get help. You don't know if you're going to have another Christmas with your kids at this point. The state of the province that we're in right now. I just lost my brother 3 months ago today to this disease. And, you know, part of my passion for helping Recovery Kidz is I want people to remember, like, not only help these children have a little bit more normal in their Christmas, but also to remember that people in treatment are fighting for their lives, and they have families that love them and care about them, and they have children and grandchildren that need them. And that's, I'm just so passionate about what we're doing here.
Brooke, since, you know, a little bit off topic of this, like there's a lot of people, like you say, dying, and that's somebody's brother, somebody's sister, somebody's mom, somebody's dad. What is it for you that's allowed you to get through, not fold under that tragedy, and, you know, sort of remain focused in this time, in this climate?
I think it's given me more incentive than ever to really get up and start helping people, just because I know the devastation it does to families. And I love that you called it a tragedy, and thank you for that, because a lot of people do. A lot of people are considering this a tragedy, and I really want them to know this is devastating for families. And I want people that are struggling with this to know you can get help. And I'm so glad that programs like Recovery Kidz are getting the information about treatment centers out to people, and allowing moms who might be struggling with this idea of like, can I go to treatment right now? It is Christmas, to be like, okay, there's a program out there that's going to help my kids have a little bit more normal, so I can get help right now, like get some of that pressure off their back.
Yeah. What's your brother's name?
Henry Weens.
I'll dedicate this show to Henry. Thanks for talking about that. Kimberlea, tell us, how can people get involved? Like, you guys got a website going on. How can people be a part of this and do what you guys are essentially doing?
Absolutely. So we have created a website. It is www.recoverykidswithaz.com. And on there, you can click the How Can I Help button. There's many ways that people can donate.
Uh-oh.
Partners. And the drop-off partners are listed on the website. We have more being added every day. We do have an Amazon wish list. So the Amazon wish list is an amazing tool where you can go on and shop presents that children have requested, and they get delivered to our workshops, and we can deliver them to those kids specifically. And there's also contactless pickup. So we are always looking for people to be volunteers. So if you can't donate in a present form or monetary form, you can volunteer your time and be one of those contactless pickup people. And if you do have a gift and you want us to pick it up, please contact us and we shall arrange it.
Awesome. Is it, you may have said this, you paused for a second there, but is it new toys, new presents only? Yeah.
Yes, so new or unused toys, unopened, obviously, and or you can go to the Amazon wish list and purchase it without even having to leave your home, and a child will get something that they've been wishing for.
So we're talking quite a few people here. I mean, when you add up how many people are in treatment and the many facilities, so definitely this needs some. Needs to go viral. And Kimberlea's part of Recovery Canada Facebook group. How many people in that group? 5, 6, 7,000?
We're over 9,000 now, pushing
9,000.
10. Yes, absolutely. So
if you want to join that group, figure it out. But Kimberlea, like how you're monitoring that page, you know, the recovery community is always, you know, wanting to help and so forth. Any ideas for like step groups or sponsorship groups, or I mean, it's an outside issue, but home groups? Because I find, and I'll bring this up with you, I've talked to politicians, and politicians, there's 2 politicians out there. Politicians out there that, you know nothing about addiction, but you know spit out all these articles for selfies for harm reduction. But whenever they go out and talk about recovery, and this has been told to me, they feel the recovery community doesn't share or like or love or anything when it's like recovery people disappear when they get clean. But the drug users people, like they're on Twitter every day, like sharing and their cause. How can we get the recovery community? What do you think anyway? Get the recovery community to be like, hey, you were in treatment on Christmas, last year. Like it's your time to get, you know what I mean? How do you do that without being like, why aren't they donating? All that.
Well, we've talked about it before. It's very important to recover loudly. Recover loudly. If you're in a good recovery group on social media, invite other people into that group. Create a community, because when we create a community, we're able to help more people and our reach grows. It's that ripple effect. If I affect you and you love the content I'm sharing, invite people to like our content, invite people to join our community so that we can increase our reach and that ripple keeps going out from us. As opposed to ideas for over the holidays, I am part of a 12-step program and we're running 24-hour meetings through the holidays because we know there's not a lot of in-person connection right now, but we need to make sure people know that it's available, that they are going to have someone to talk to 24 hours a day, and we just need to recover so loudly so that we can touch those people who are dying in their homes by themselves with no access to this because they don't know we're here. So that's my biggest takeaway, is to recover loudly.
A lot of people in recovery get stuck on the idea of anonymity and donate to cancer, but I won't donate to recovery. Like I don't want my I only do recovery in meetings with my sponsor and a subgroup, and that's it. And so you talk about recovery out loud. Does anybody have any comments on like anonymity really has nothing to do with recovery out loud? I sure do, but I want to hear it from you.
Well, in the literature for the 12-step program I'm a member of, it actually says that our original founders maintained their anonymity because they felt they wouldn't be able to help the number of people that would come for what they want. We live in a day and age where at the touch of a button, I can help 1,000 people at one time. So the need for anonymity on that level is non-existent anymore. As per traditions, there are different rules with press and media, and that's to protect our fellowship that I'm part of. But for personal anonymity, I've thrown it out the window a long time ago, and that's how we end the stigma. You can't end the stigma by being quiet. You're not going to help anyone by being quiet, and we have the potential to reach so many people.
I just want to add something there. The only thing that's going to end stigma is decriminalization and safe supply. That's the only thing, apparently.
Can I speak to that? Can I speak to that?
Wow.
I just think that it's just that all that is what's going on in the news today is a political agenda to legalize drugs, because nobody's going to jail for drugs today. Nobody. And honestly, it's more of a political movement to legalize drugs because that's what they believe. They've actually, it's very sad because they've went out and pursued moms that have lost their children to try to push their agendas. And I just think it's so sad because that's lowering the bar to what is available for people. And I think we do need to recover out loud and show people that recovery is possible, because even the people that are using alone, they don't think the cops are coming to their door. They're not thinking about that. They're not even thinking about that the drug that they're using might kill them. And so, you know, there's a lot of misinformation that's going out in the system. And I know because I worked in the system for a long time. And I know now today that even the people that have worked there now have a different opinion. You know, like they know it went way too far. And so that's what I want to say to that.
That's what I said the same thing at the top of the show. I mean,
oh, did you? Okay.
You know, just you know, being caught many times myself and having not gone to jail and not arrested, but at the same time, you know, there was nothing there. There's an opportunity, you know, there's a struggling individual, you know, and the next thing I'm going to do is probably, you know, something illegal, something criminal, you know what I mean? And how that could have been formulated in some sort of intervention at the time, and the fear of being caught and you know, had somebody with some real sense as to what this opportunity is for an individual and what happens if we just walk away, it could absolutely change.
Well, when they implemented the 4 pillars, like there was an enforcement pillar, and the enforcement pillar, they've been shutting it down and putting down the police as if the police were the problem. And that's not the problem. You know, that police were going to work with health. I mean, what are drug courts for? Drug court was supposed to help people get to treatment that had any criminal charge. But you go down to 100 people in Vancouver's downtown east side and you ask them whether they've been arrested for possession of drugs, and they're going to tell you no. They're going to tell you no. Like nobody I know that I work with, and I work with a lot of them down there, that they are not charged with possession of drugs. So I just think it's the step politically to move to legalization, because that's what they want. They want to provide drugs for people, which is.
And that's why we need to recover out loud, because here we have 5 beautiful women with stories of redemption, forgiveness, motherhood for some of them. And it's an amazing story. And believe it or not, there are people out there that still are not aware that this is even possible. So that's the importance of even just this show. And you know, thanks for being on the show. And Alexis, and the other idea is that women do recover. You know, we're from New West Recovery. This show is powered by New West Recovery. There's this idea that it's just filled with a bunch of door boys, but I mean, there's a lot of women in New West Recovery, thanks to our sister program, Westminster House, and just the energy. like women, when women take cakes, I absolutely love it because it just reminds me like women can recover. I know it's hard for women to recover as well when it comes to some issues that happen. We're not going to get into that. But when Alexis showed up to Lost Door years ago with like how many kids do you guys have and how old are they? And I'm like, what do you want? And it's like, come on, another job.
That's a common theme for me. What do you want?
Yeah. I mean, I experience the beauty of this because I see the gifts arrive. I see the clients wrapping the presents, and I see the dads that there's the dads are too embarrassed to take them because they're like, go ahead and buy these because there's all that ego, right? So this is what this does. It changes people because like this is what happens. We get these gifts, and there's guys out there that don't want the gifts because they're like, I'm the man, I should buy gifts, or this is like
I'm
what
the provider, yeah.
treatment, you know what I mean? Like step 6 and step 7, and then there's the guy that tries to take too many gifts, and then they do work around that. Like these people are in treatment, and the beauty of it is it's not just a free present for a person. It's the idea, right? And I just wanted to thank you, Alexis, and that experience you give to these guys, and the rest of you are going to give, because times up by hundreds of men and women that are going to go through accepting a gift, giving a gift, wrapping a gift, those stories.
I think it's important too that we keep the dignity involved with the clients, that we're not wrapping the gifts beforehand, that we're asking them, what does your kid want? What size is your kid? What is your kid into? And then that opens a conversation for some parents who have not been with their kids, who are in care or whatever, where they get to learn about what their kids want, right? Like we have one woman who is phoning the person who's fostering what size are they? What do they want? They're getting involved, and it opens up a huge other dialogue. We set it up like a toy shop sometimes, and so we have gifts that are, specific for some for some kids, but historically we don't just have one gift, we have more than one gift. So then we set it up like a toy shop, and the dads get to go through and pick stuff that they think their kids would like. And some of them are like, I have no idea, can you help me? And then we're there to help, and they get super into the wrapping, and some dads and moms get super creative. I started with a men's recovery center, number one, because both of my ex-husbands, I have two, but they both have an amazing life because of the Last Door. And two, at Christmas time, I found, as a mom and having ex-husbands that were single dads, that moms got showered with charity, and oh, poor you, and then I found for single dads, it was a lot different, and there is a different energy around it. So that's why it's so important for me to include the dads as well, because they are an equal contributor to a child's development in life, right? And yeah, it's like the coolest thing to let them go through, pick it out, make cards, wrap it, and have it really be special from them and keep the dignity,
And I want to give a shout out to, there's a mom, Alex Robinson, and she puts together all the gifts for the sanctuary women and the babies. And she has a whole community of moms that are making these gifts for each of the women down there too. Plus we're getting their wish list. So I want to just say a shout out to Alex, because she's so dedicated to this for the last few years, and we really, really appreciate her. Yeah.
I can see that, from what I've seen on social media and the recovery groups, a lot of people saying, like, does anybody know a place? Does anybody know what I should do? I'm in detox. I'm trying to get into detox. Like I see a lot more of this, I think lately. And I presume that with a show like this, there's going to be some women or some men like wondering like how to get into somewhere like that you guys are helping, that you guys are involved in. Is that a difficult conversation to have? Like, Linda, you're an interventionist. Your job is essentially, for those, is asking you for help to get them into treatment. That requires, connections and networking and all of that. Like the average person doesn't have that. They're literally reaching out to communities on Facebook to find these things. What can we say to that right now as far as like what's available? Like, is it a difficult task just straight up?
It's very difficult. It's very difficult. It's what Giuseppe talks about all the time, a two-tiered system. If you don't have money, you don't get help. And the wait lists alone, like those treatment centers want to help, but they just only have so many beds. Right. And so there's a lot of people, especially at Christmas time, that want to get clean. And I'm working with families who just want the best for their kids, but they don't have the money to pay to sell their house or anything like that in order to get the people the help that they need. So it's definitely challenging, and that's why we rely a lot on the community programs and the recovery capital work that is being done right now. Like we just did some transformation to recovery capital from relapse prevention for a mother's group. And oops, my cat. And we've been teaching these women, and they're all in early recovery, and they didn't go to treatment. And so we're trying to act, we try to find every resource that is out there, Recovery Canada, like all the different social media platforms for people to, even if they can't go to treatment, what can they do? What are the next steps that they can do to either get on a wait list and call every day and have somewhat recovery coaching as they're going through that. And it's really difficult because of the to go see your GP and then to go see an addiction specialist is very difficult to get into. You can't even get into one for a long time. So it's a challenge, and it's really sad because there's a lot of people out there that want to help, and there's people taking them right into their homes, right? Which is again a very difficult thing to do when somebody's finding ways and means all the time.
The reality is all the charities that you have picked to donate items to clients, I say subsidize the healthcare system. I mean, we get $45 a day for a funded bed. You can't even put a dog in a kennel for $45 a day. Right. You're supposed to house, treat, medicate, insure, a human being for that amount of money. So it's disappointing. Laura, I wanted to bring up something for you before we run out of the show. You talked about your Christmases with your kids, and mom's going to ruin Christmas, and it didn't just get fixed overnight. And for people that aren't experienced with the recovery journey, and they may be new, or they're just feeling like absolutely hopeless, and it's like, how am I going to get through this? Some of the ways that you got through it, and how long did it take, and is it still a process even 14 years later?
Yeah, I mean, I love, Kim, that you mentioned 12-step recovery. My experience was a couple of things. I leaned on people like Kim and Brooke and Linda and Alexis that had paved the way before me. And the gift is I went to a facility, and it was abstinent-based for me. I feel really passionate about that because I think it saved my life in more ways than one. But there were people that helped me literally, Giuseppe, back when I first started, get through 15 minutes at a time. It wasn't simple. I would love to tell you that, wow, I had a clean bed and a safe place to live, and I just woke up feeling fabulous, but that was not what happened for me. I felt like I was coming out of my skin, and I got through a day. Somebody brought me a coffee, I remember, on day 3, and I felt human. People took me to 12-step recovery, and they let me in their car, and they invited me to connect with them on the phone and in person. And I started to feel like maybe I could be a part of something. People shared what their experience was as far as the things they did when they drank and used. And I started to go, wow, and that person's clean, and maybe I could have the courage to share my stuff. And it started to come off in layers, that shame and that guilt. And I'll tell you, all of a sudden, I remember getting 30 days and having the courage to call my oldest child and tell her, and it was a game changer. And one of the the other really big things that I got to do was stuff like this. I started feeding the homeless out of my home with 3 weeks recovery. I have a not-for-profit unregistered charity called the West Coast Soul. We've been feeding people in the downtown east side. People told me if I was going to stay clean and I wanted to get out of those uncomfortable feelings, I had to be of service. And I had nothing. I mean, I remember digging out an old chicken, and I hadn't eaten meat at the time in 3 years, out of my freezer and making my first pot of soup. And we fed 27 people, to ending up over the last 14 years, we've fed tens of thousands of people. And that ability to build my self-esteem was a key component. It's why I felt like it was a privilege when Linda reached out to me to be a part of Recovery Kidz. It's why even when I feel like maybe it might be inconvenient to do these things, I do it anyways, because it's how I wake up and put my pants on in the morning and get the ability to talk to my kids and come on a show like this with some self-esteem, because it's not about me anymore, and it's a privilege to get to give back. So I don't know, maybe that was too long-winded. I apologize. I just like it's not easy, but there are people that get it. I get it. The women and the men on this show get it. And we are here to help you. We are here to share in your triumphs and your challenges. We are here to help you get a day clean. And those days become weeks and months and years. And like recovery is possible.
There's a very obvious recipe that's continually evident every time we talk to people, you know, that something like this, Recovery Kidz, isn't this thing that 5 women are doing because they have to do service in their program. Like, you know, like we hear that sort of language as you get clean, like this sort of forced giving back, because we're not always healthy people thinking of others and what we can do for others. And so it sometimes does seem like a forced thing, but I think about all the things I do under the notion of service. And I just, like, now it just feels like this is what I would have done anyways. Like, it just feels important. Like things are bigger than me. And I think that when we talk about like the anonymity piece, like if I was to ask you guys, like, why are you doing this? And everybody's just like, well, I don't want to talk about my experience of what happened for me. Like, it would just seem like, okay, whatever, you know, but the fact like you guys all have a personal experience to this, it brings me to a thought of like being new and not feeling like I can be of service for others, and having somebody do something for me that just, it's a fine line between being appreciative and thankful and feeling guilty and ashamed. That,
well, we all have skills, Darren, right? Like we all bring in pretty amazing skills from our survival. And what I say is the ass needs to get bigger. Like I went to a guy 2 years ago and I worked with his family, and they're really wealthy. And I said, why don't you help me buy a treatment bed, buy a bed for someone for a year or for 6 months? And he did. Like he was just said, what do I do? Where do I sign? Here's the check. And so when we build the confidence in ourselves, these women right here, and I know both you and Giuseppe, Darren, are out there. We're out there with people in the world, and we have the ability to feel good about ourselves. So we have the ability to ask, and there's nothing wrong with asking in any endeavor that you endure and want to be involved in. Get in there, use your skills, and get people the help that they need. And so my ask out there going forward is always, hey, if you got money, you know, and you want to help the community and you want to help the problem that we're having, and then help someone get to treatment, right? And so I'm hoping that someday this grows into where we can, you know, buy a bed for treatment or pay for someone's education, or, you know, one of the kids want to go to university, and so, or pay for hockey fees. Me and Alexis were talking about this, you know, how could we, if we get bigger, help even bigger in bigger ways? So that's what we're hoping for.
That, and you know, what brings this project brings to light is the fact that you keep saying there's a gap in the system, Alexis, because there is. There's so much fundraising, meal planning for homeless people in the downtown east side, shelters, but then you go to rehab and you're 28 years old and you know just came out of a 20-year addiction, so you've got no money and you like completely destroyed your credit, and you go to rehab for 3 months and you're on welfare and you're done and you got a great set of steps, you got integrity, you got gratitude, you got all this, but then the government's like, hey, you're on your own, see you later. And you know, addictions are chronic relapsing disease. It boggles my mind with even the mayor's announcement yesterday about decrim. There's absolutely no plan on supporting early recovery, people in recovery, you know, and all that. And so this project just brings to light, like, hey, like, are we helping these people? And the answer is like, you're one of the few, if not one of the first kind of organizations that is actually going into people that are in recovery, that aren't still using it on the streets. So big applause that you brought this to light, because that's a huge issue in North America's response to the addiction crisis. It's like, yeah, we can keep helping everybody that's at the bottom of the river, but like, we're not helping people like get out of the river and stay out of the river. They just keep jumping in. So applause to you. We're really short on time. So, you know, you're all 5, you know, awesome women that can, you know, accomplish and move mountains, but you probably still need more help. Like Christmas is coming, you know, all these places. So what other areas, you know, somebody obviously donate money, donate gifts, Amazon wish list. Do you need any other help?
Yeah, so what we need is drop-off locations. So when you partner with us as a drop-off location, where we will provide a box for you just as a business owner. If you are a small business owner, put a box in your store and have it be a drop-off location. We'll put you on the website. We've partnered with some local radio stations. So we will get your information out if you help us get some toys in. And so we have a drop-off location in Tsawwassen, in North Vancouver, in Maple Ridge. We need more though. So if you are willing to be a drop-off location, please contact us at recoverykidz.com. We're also on Instagram, Recovery Kidz, Facebook, Recovery Kidz. We're around.
Yeah, we definitely need New West drop-offs. So anybody in New West, you got a business or you frequent a business a lot, walk in there and say, hey, you're going to be a Dropbox, and let's make the City Hall in Vancouver a drop-off place. Eh?
That's a great idea.
Hey, you want to decriminalize drugs with no game plan? Yeah, you're gonna help people in recovery.
It's a great
It's
idea.
hard, right? It's like I had kids and I was involved with MCFD, and when you talk about that, G, like it's when my kids were returned back to me, it was like go, and there was no aftercare and there was no planning and there was nothing, right? So then you wonder why parents and kids are going through the system like this. And oh, you're using, we're going to take your kids away. Oh, you're clean, here them back, but we're not going to give you any services after that. So it's really important to support the parents after recovery, through recovery, the kids, to help normalize Christmas a bit for these guys, and really support the families through it, because it's a family disease. And the more that I reach out to businesses and ask, the more that I hear, my cousin passed away from an overdose. Yes, I'll help. Like that kind of stuff. And so it's not just touched by the people that are in recovery, it's touched by the families, and it's yeah.
You know, Alexis, just to imagine too, this isn't just about helping people in recovery. These are the people in your communities. Yeah. These are the people that are your neighbors, right? And when you bring these resources to support people after they've gotten clean, this changes the schools your kid attends, the people that they associate with, your neighbors. Like, this is actually like life, right? And what better time to support people than when people are taking the initiative to change their lives.
And I like the ask that you don't know, people are distracted in their daily lives, and just asking and having that conversation, and like it makes them really sort of think about like what have I done for any sort of charity, and what can I do, and and maybe that gets that person back into that giving and thinking of other people. And in the name of, like, I don't feel like I can do a thing about people overdosing, even the closest person in my life, you know, I couldn't do anything for. And yet just being a part of something like this, you know, I might not see it, I might not get the thank you card, but there's a big chance that I'm preventing an overdose being a part of something like this. And for you guys to come together, there's going to be more of you involved. There's going to be lots of and there's going to be beyond just Christmas coming on this website. I just feel it. I know it. And for
Can you have our board meeting?
right on. And yeah, so for anybody listening, get on this, make a donation, buy some gifts. This is going to bring the spirit and the hope up. And I think if you're in the gift or in the season of giving, like, this is it, man, for something that happens over there that I don't see. And you know, that fills my heart.
Thank you so much for being on the show, everyone. Kimberlea and Brooke, Alexis, Linda, and Laura, Recovery Kidz. The links to the website and everything are going to be in the comment boxes and shared and so forth. We'll replay this as well. When's the deadline for donating?
We have it as December 16th at this point, just so that we have time to get it to facilities. So that's the magic day. Yeah.
Okay, well, you're going to be busy till December 16th. Hopefully we can help you all be busy. You've been listening to Talk Recovery Radio. We come to you live every Thursday on Facebook and replayed on 100.5 FM, Vancouver Co-op Radio, 1 week behind schedule because of COVID. Can't go to the studio, so we are using this new format. Talk Recovery Radio is powered by New West Recovery, Canada's recovery community. Recovery Kidz with a Z.com. Visit it and appreciate everybody. We got 1 more minute, 2 minutes actually. Any final notes from anyone? 2 minutes.
Check out the group of women. Oh my gosh.
I know, eh? Everybody at the same time.
Yeah, and I would just like to finish by saying, you know, getting clean and sober is the greatest gift you can give your kids this Christmas. So if you're considering it, please do. Please go get clean and sober and give that gift to your kids this year.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thanks for leaving on that note, everyone. Replay at SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. Everyone, see you next Thursday. Mr. Gaylor.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Take care. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.